the debenture is costing rupees 1000 is been issued by a company for a period of 5 years and the rate of interest is 7% per annum and the appropriate capitalization rate is 5% and we are supposed to calculate the present value of the debenture. So I have taken on the values here. So I is equals to the interest or the dividend amount what the bondholder is going to get. So the formula PV is equals to I divided by KD. So how we got I? So 2000 into 12 we have got 240. Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are doing good. I welcome you to the financial management session. So we are going to talk about time value of money subject. So that is session number 3. So in this today's session, we are going to talk about valuation of shares, that is valuation of bonds and debentures and valuation of preference shares and valuation of equity shares. So before I move on to the calculation and I move on to the discussion part, so let me give my introduction. I am Vaishnavi, Faculty of Commerce from Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So I'll start with the agenda first. So we are going to talk about valuation of bonds and debenture, valuation of preference shares, and we are also going to talk about valuation of equity shares. So starting with the basic meaning introduction about a bond or a debenture. So a bond or a debenture is a form of a formal document issued by the government or by the joint stock company constituting acknowledgement of the debt and also containing the details relating to the payment of interest and payment of principal amount. So valuation, it is a bond or it's a document or it is a debt instrument I can call. So both bonds or debentures will be called as a debt instrument that will be issued by the either government or by the issuing company for a period of time. So that consisting of how much principal amount they have invested, when is a maturity period and what is the rate of interest that the person is going to get for the investment that the person have made for. Valuation of bonds or debenture is the present value of cash inflow of a bond or debenture is regarded as the value of bond or debenture. So calculation part of the present value of the cash inflows what you are going to get is about valuation of a bond or a debenture. So the technique of valuation of bond or debenture is known as the capitalization technique. So we have got different types of valuation techniques. So under that, first is par value, face value or nominal value. So when the valuation is been done at the exact face value of a bond or a debenture, that will be called as the par value, face value or the nominal value of the bond value. Okay. Par value is the value stated on the face of a bond or debenture. It is amount that an enterprise has borrowed from a bond or a debenture holder and promises to repay at the time of the maturity of the bond or debenture. The exact face value or the nominal value of the share will be or nominal value of the bond will be given back to the debenture or bond holder. Next is interest rate or coupon rate. So it is the specific rate required to be paid on every bond or debenture. This is called interest rate. It is also known as coupon rate. So there is a percentage of rate of interest is been mentioned in the document. So the percentage of interest needs to be paid to the debenture holder or bond holder will be called as the interest rate or the coupon rate. Next is maturity period. So based on the time period or time frame also, the valuation of bond or debenture can be done. So it refers to the period after which the money raised through a bond or debenture has to be repaid to the bond or the debenture holder. So usually bonds are having a maturity period extending up to 7 to 10 years, whereas government bonds may having a period of up to 20 to 25 years. So it is about like, so for how many years or what is the time frame of the maturity of the bond will be mentioned. So valuation of bond can also be done based on the time period of the share or debenture. Next is capitalization rate or discount rate. So it is the rate at which the cash inflows of bond or debenture are discounted in order to ascertain the present value of the bond or debenture. So capitalization rates or discount rates are another type of a valuation technique where the future value of the cash inflows will be represented, and we are going to calculate or we're going to validate the bond value by using the discounted technique in order to find the present value of the bond or a debenture. So that kind of method will be called as the capitalization or discounted rates. So next is about valuation of bonds and debentures. So we are having two types of methods that we are going to calculate. First is when bond or debenture is redeemable. That means it is going to have a proper maturity period. And when bond and debenture is irredeemable, that is, it is not going to have a specific maturity period or maturity value. So starting when bond or debenture is going to have a specific maturity value, that is redeemable one. So the formula here we can tell that. So I1 divided by 1 plus KD whole the power of 1 plus I2 divided by 1 plus KD whole the power of 2 plus I3 divided by 1 plus KD whole the power of 3 and so on, plus IN divided by 1 plus KD whole the power of n plus m divided by 1 plus KD whole the power of n. So annotations: PV is equals to present value, I is equals to annual interest payments, KD is equals to capitalization rate or discount rate, M will be the maturity value of the bond or debenture, N is called the number of years of maturity. So starting with the first problem, a debenture of rupees 1000 invested by a company matures in 5 years. The rate of interest payable by the company on the debenture is 7% per annum. The appropriate capitalization rate is 5%. Calculate the present value of the debenture. So, the debenture is costing rupees 1000, is been issued by a company for a period of 5 years and the rate of interest is 7% per annum and the appropriate capitalization rate is 5%. And we are supposed to calculate the present value of the debenture. So here is a solution: calculation of the present value of the debenture. So PV is equals to I1 divided by 1 plus KD whole the power of 1. That is, here if you can see, 1000 rupees is the value of the debenture and 7% is the rate of interest. So 1000 into 7% will get 70 rupees. So that is the dividend amount paid to the debenture holder. So 70 divided by 1 plus 0.05. So 0.05 is the 5% capitalization rate. So we have taken in the 0.05 decimal value. Okay. So 70 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole the power of 1 plus 70 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole the power of 2 plus 70 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole the power of 3 plus 70 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole the power of 4 plus 70 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole the power of 5 plus the total, this is the M, will be the maturity value of the debenture. So redeemable, the whole 1000 rupees that what the debenture holder have invested, so everything is going to redeem it back. So 1000 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole the power of 5. So further calculation, so 70 divided by 1.05, then 70 divided by 1.05 whole the power of 2 is 1.1025, 70 divided by 1.05 whole the power of 3 is 1.1576. Likewise, 70 divided by 1.2155, next 70 divided by 1.2762, then 1.2762. So further, if we divide, so we'll get 66.66, 63.49, 60.46, 57.58, 54.85 and 783.57. So if we add all, so we'll get a present value of 1086.61 rupees. So the present value of the debenture, what the amount is going to get after the 5 years. So whereas the present value of the debenture is 1086 rupees. So here we have got another alternative method. So under that, first column is year, interest payment and principal repayment. Then discount factor at 5%. So this is the table value. Okay. Then present value. So first year, 1000 into 7 divided by 10, we have got 70. Then the discount factor at 5% is 0.952. So 70 into 0.952 will get 66.64. So then next 70 into 0.907 will get 63.49. 70 into 0.864 will get 60.84. 70 into 0.823 will get 57.61. 70 into 0.784 will get 54.88. Then total overall at the end of the 5th year, there is the total maturity period or the maturity value is been going to mature. So the 1000 rupees into 0.784. So we are going to get the value of 784. So if we add all these, we'll get 1089.90. So this is how we calculate the valuation of the debenture by using the discounted rate method. So moving on with the next question. So here A is considering the purchase of 8% rupees 1000 bond redeemable after 5 years. This required at a rate of 10% per annum. Advise him regarding the value of the bond. Here, so Mr. A is going to purchase rupees 1000 rupees of a bond with the rate of 8% per annum. It is going to redeemable after 5 years and the required rate of return is 8%. So here we are supposed to find out how much is the present value of the bond. So I have taken on the values here. So I is equals to the interest or the dividend amount what the bondholder is going to get. So 1000 into 8%, so we'll get 80 rupees. Then N is equals to 5. Then KD, that is capitalization, is 0.10. Okay. So we're going to start. So 80 divided by 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 1 plus 80 divided by 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 2 plus 80 divided by 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 3 plus 80 divided by 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 4 plus 80 divided by 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 5 plus M will be the maturity value. So that is 1000 divided by 1 plus 0.10 whole to the power of 5. So further 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 1 plus. So 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 2 plus 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 3 plus 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 4 plus 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 5 plus 1000 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 5. So that equals to 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 1 will get 1.10 plus 80 divided by 1.10 will get 1.21 plus 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 3 is 1.331 plus 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 4 will get 1.4641 plus 80 divided by 1.10 whole to the power of 5 will get 1.6105 plus 1000 divided by 1.6105. So next further 80 divided by 1.10 will get 72 plus 80 divided by 1.21 will get 66.11 plus 80 divided by 1.331 will get 60.105 plus 80 divided by 1.4641 will get 54.64 plus 80 divided by 1.6105 will get 49.67 plus 1000 divided by 1.6105 will get 620.92. So further if we add all, so we are going to get the present value. So if we add all this, so we are going to get a present value of 923.445. So the present value of the bond will be 923.445. So this is how we calculate the present value of the bond. So moving on with the next question. So determination of the present value of the bond or debenture if it is of any irredeemable in nature. So the formula present value is equals to I divided by KD. So I is annual interest payment, KD will be the capitalization rate or discount rate. So here if, you can see the question, an irredeemable debenture of the face value of rupees 2000 issued by a company. The rate of interest payable by the company is 12% per annum. Calculate the present value of the debenture if the required rate is 15%, if the required rate is 10%, and if the required rate is 12%. So first calculation of the present value of irredeemable debenture. So under that, how much is going to get the present value if the rate of return is 15%. So the formula PV is equals to I divided by KD. So how we got I? So 2000 into 12 we have got 240. So 240 divided by the capitalization rate, that is 15%. So we'll get rupees 1600. So next, if the required rate of return is 10%. So present value of the debenture I divided by KD. So I is 240 rupees. So 240 divided by 0.15 will get 2400. So next, if the required rate is 12%. So same formula, PV is equals to I divided by KD. So 240 divided by 0.12, the present value will be 2000 rupees. So next is valuation of preference shares. So what is a preference share? So preference is a type of the shares issued by a company or by any legalized joint stock company for raising of the amount from the public will be called as a preference shares. Okay, so it is a type of shares issued by a joint stock company for raising the capital from the public. They have preference or priority over equity shares as regarded the payment of the dividend and the repayment of share capital. They carry a fixed rate of dividend. Okay, so they are having the foremost preferential share when they are going to distribute the dividend to the shareholders. So they are going to have a fixed rate of interest on the share capital what they have invested. So types of preference we have got: redeemable preference share, irredeemable preference shares. So under that, valuation of preference shares we are going to have two types. When there is a preference shares are redeemable in nature, when the preference shares are irredeemable in nature. So when the preference shares are redeemable in nature, so under that the formula will be D1 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 1, D2 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 2, D3 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 3, and so on to Dn plus Mn divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of n. So here D is annual dividend, Kp is capitalization rate, M will be the maturity value of the preference shares. So under that first question, A Limited has issued 7% preference shares at rupees 100 each. The shares are redeemable after 5 years. The appropriate capitalization rate is 5%. Calculate the present value of the redeemable preference shares. So here a company has issued 7% preference shares at rupees 100 each. So what is the rate of interest for the preference share? It is 7%. And the shares are redeemable after 5 years. The appropriate capitalization rate, that is KD, is 5%. So we are supposed to calculate the present value of the preference shares. So the formula: D1 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 1, D2 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 2, D3 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 3, D4 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 4, D5 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 5, and the maturity value D5 divided by 1 plus Kp whole to the power of 5. That is maturity value of the preference shares. So 7 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 5, then 7 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 2, 7 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 3, 7 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 4, 7 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 5, then 1000 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 5. Next to 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 1. So we'll get 1.05 whole to the power of 1. 1 plus 0.05 is 1.05 whole to the power of 2. Likewise, we'll get 1.05 whole to the power of 3, 1.05 whole to the power of 4, 1.05 whole to the power of 5, then 100 divided by 1 plus 0.05 whole to the power of 5. So 1.05 whole to the power of 1 is 1.05. 1.05 whole to the power of 2 is 1.1025. Likewise, we'll get 1.1576, 1.2155, 1.2762 and 1.57. So further dividing, we'll get 6.66, 6.349, 6.046, 5.758, 5.485 and 78.35. So if we add all those, so the present value will be 108.654. Okay. Next is valuation of the preference shares when it is of any irredeemable in nature. So the formula D divided by KP. So valuation V is equals to the valuation of preference share, D is equals to annual dividend, then KP is equals to rate of preference shares. So the formula we have got, a company has issued 8% irredeemable preference shares of rupees 100 each. The capitalization rate is 6%. Calculate the present value of an irredeemable preference share. So the formula V is equals to D divided by KP. So dividend out of the 100 rupees, 8%, 100 into 8 by 100. So we'll get 8 rupees. So 8 divided by 0.06, that is the capitalization rate. So we'll get 133.33. So then next we are going to talk about the valuation of equity shares. So you know that equity shares are being called up as a ownership shares. So they are not having the enough preferential rights as compared to the preferential shareholders, but equity shares are also been an important type of a share capital account that is being raised by the joint stock company for meeting their financial needs. Okay, so valuation of equity shares when there is a dividend per share is going to remain the constant. The formula will be P0 is equals to D divided by P0. So here the question, A Limited is currently paying a dividend of rupees 30 per share. It is expected that there will be no change in the rate of dividend in the future. So the current capitalization rate is 12%. Compute the present value of an equity share. So here the dividend that they are going to get is 30 per share and capitalization rate is 12%. So formula P0 is equals to D divided by KE. So 30 divided by 0.12, the value of the present value of the equity share will be 250 rupees. So next is about valuation of equity shares when the dividend per share remains constant. So when there is a growth in the rate of dividend, the growth in the dividend may be constant or varying. So the formula will be P0 is equals to D1 divided by KE minus G. So sometimes what happens, the value of the equity shares will be remaining constant or will be varying depending upon the market share. So this we are going to talk about when it is going to varying. So P0 is equals to D1 divided by KE minus G. So the formula we have seen. So we'll see the questions. Jitendra Limited expected to pay a dividend of rupees 5 per share next year. The dividend is expected to grow perpetually at a rate of 10%. So what is the value of the share if the capitalization rate is 10%? So here dividend that they are going to expect for the next year is 5 rupees. Then capitalization rate is 15%. Then there is a growth of 10% from the coming next year. So D1 divided by KE minus G. So we'll get 5 divided by 0.15 minus 10. So we'll get 5 divided by 0.05. So the present value of the equity shares is rupees 100. So these are the solutions that we have solved today. So we have learned about the valuation of preferences, we have learned about valuation of equity shares, and we have learned about valuation of bonds or debentures. So these are also quite important for your examination point of view. In the coming session, so we are going to talk about Unit 3, financing and dividend decisions. So under that we are going to solve about EBIT, that is earnings before interest and tax, EPS analysis and leverage related problems. So those are also plays a high weightage for your examination point of view. So we'll try to solve all those kind of questions in the coming session. So I'll meet you in the next session. Thank you so much.